All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. We will have a nice class here. Tom Russo with Encompass Mortgage is going to talk to us about reverse mortgages. He's going to give you some tips and tricks on how you can use a reverse mortgage to try and prospect for new listing opportunities, buyer opportunities, how it's used, how you can leverage the power of a reverse mortgage to really create some opportunities for your buyers or sellers. So this is a very unique product that may not fit for everybody, but the people that it fits for, it fits right into their wheelhouse and it's going to be really good for them. So Tom, come on up. We'll get you all set up and we'll get you going.
Good. All right. So welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully everybody's going to learn something today. I'm trying to figure out where the camera is so I can look at it. Right on the arm there. Okay, there it is. Hey, gotcha. Okay. So who's bringing up the screen for me? Is somebody bringing up the screen, or you want me to do that, Chris? Okay. Am I right over here? Am I standing in front of you guys? I'm sorry. Do the camera time. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So when I found out how many people RSVP'd, I had to whip thing up real quick this morning. So I was thinking we were going to go through something pretty simple. So I did whip that up. You see on the screen, you will get a copy of that. So if anybody has after this, you'll have my contact information. I know some of you I don't. I have an office here at Century 21 and Sun City Center. And I've been here about a year and a half. And so we'll have some space over to the agent. If any of you need help with anything, you feel free to reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to help. The PDF you see in front of you will be sent to all of you. I think Jimmy says he'll send out the recording to this training, so you don't have to write anything down real quick. I just wanted to put some key out there for you this morning on this, and then we're going to dive into the detail of how to use this product, as Chris said, to get listings and to leverage people's cash positions, as well as to take advantage of all of the appreciation that we have seen. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time, right? It's harder for more people to afford things, but if you know how to use this product, you might find out that it will generate some more business for you. All right. So the main benefit of a reverse mortgage, okay, and most people think of it from the refinance side, is the fact that you can live in your primary residence and never make a principal and interest payment. Notice what it says, principal and interest. We want to make that clear because if you have real estate taxes, they are due. If you have homeowners insurance, you have to pay them. If you have an HOA or a CDD or anything associated with where you live, that is still a cost to you. So come on through, Chrissy. It's okay. You're among friends. You're good. You're good. So I want to spell that out, that it is the principal and interest payment. I've got a lady in Sarasota, 70-some years old, contacted me. Believe it or not, her principal and interest payment is $1,571 a month. So we're going to work with her to help her eliminate that payment. So it's a real big benefit to a lot of seniors, okay? There is a full training for all of you at the address below where it says full training realtors. Okay, I put that out there, that program, that process, all of the strategies we're going to talk about today are there at that full training realtors URL. And again, you'll get this. If you want to jot it down, it's up to you, but it's right there on the screen, sarasotantg.com/realtor. Chris, would you mind just going to the next page for me? Thank you. Now, we understand that there's different training, there's different things I want to show you today. We're going to talk about how to make more money. We're not going to talk about that to buyers, right? They don't need to know how much money you make, but we're all in this to make a living, right? So we put up a special link for you there that buyers can go learn all about this in the video presentation or format that I did. No sales pressure there, just information, some facts. I don't believe in sales. I believe in educating. I think that's the best way to work with people. Okay, so For your buyers, again, you're going to get the PDF, but if you want to jot it down, it's the same website, Sarasota MTG. One is reverse buy, that's for the buyers, and one is realtors for all of you today. And I'd encourage you to go out there because there's a lot of information that you can learn. And I've been teaching this to Century 21 for about 7 years now. And I can tell you, most people don't take advantage of this training. They don't use it. I just talked to Sandy on her way out here, Sandy Tams, and she was, reminding me about somebody who she went out with a few years ago that, they had about $150,000, but they just couldn't find what they wanted. She introduced them to this program and we closed that for her. And I think it was a 260 or 270 house, if I remember correctly. I know those don't exist too much anymore, 260 or 270 houses. So it's a great program. And we have tried to do everything we can with that link for the buyers to provide them with the information direct from me. So you don't feel like you have to explain it. You just have to get them there and say, hey, this is an option for you. Take a look at it. I've got a guy here in Sun City Center that will sit with you. We'll talk to you. Whatever they need, we'll do to help them. Okay. So today I'm going to show you a tool that, again, Jamie or Chris will send out. Every one of you will get it. And it's something to help you both with cash buyers and to get more listings. And we'll show you how that's going to work here in a few minutes. Okay. I know Chris told me he did some training on Remind. So for those of you who need leads, they're there. I was shocked when I saw this program a few years ago and actually tested it on my own personal mortgage. And sure enough, it was very, very close. So the data is good in Remind from the sampling I did. So I was talking to Chrissy this morning here at the front desk, and she kind of made an interesting point. There's a stigma regarding reverse mortgages. It's for poor people. It's for people who can't afford to do a regular mortgage or pay cash. That's not at all. It's for people who want to use their money differently. Okay. Some people want to pay cash for a house, and that's fine. If you have it, good for you. God bless you. And if you don't have it, this might be an option for you to get something, or for you guys as agents to help people to get something they really want with the cash position they have. In terms of new guidelines, Phil asked me this morning, Phil's here, there he is. Is there going to be any new stuff? Phil's been around a while. He's seen this presentation. And here's some new stuff, Phil. The age requirement is now 55 for some proprietary programs that lenders have. These proprietary programs were created because there was a need to do condominiums, and most condominiums are not going to meet that FHA stamp of approval, and they're not going to be able to be financed with reverse mortgages. So most of the reverse mortgage lenders have come up with a proprietary program that allows people, even in condominiums, not all condominiums, but some condominiums, to make this happen. They don't have to be FHA approved. Kings Point, sadly, still we can't do them in there. They don't meet the reserve requirements, and it is leased land. So we got one more person just popped in there. Chris, oh, you got it? Okay, thanks. Condos are something now that we can potentially work with. All we have to do is go out there and get a lender approval, not an FHA approval. Okay, I just helped an 80-year-old lady do a refi on her particular condo. So that's this top level that I want to talk about. Remember, the full-blown training is out at those links, and you will have them if you didn't already write them down, sarasotamortgage.com/realtor. I think it's realtor versus realtors. Can't remember which one it is. But Chris or Jimmy will send this out to everybody. There it is. Okay. Yeah, realtor. Okay, perfect. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show you the tool that will help you both with your cash buyers, and we're going to show you a technique to get maybe some more listings out of this. And so, Chris, if you don't mind popping over to that Excel worksheet and go, perfect, cash buyer. Okay. Do you mind sitting there punching numbers in for me? Fantastic.
Explain, talk a little bit about the general overview of what a reverse mortgage is and how it works.
Sure. Yep, you got it. So a reverse mortgage in most people's minds is something you do when you're over age 62 and you have a home and you want to get cash in your pocket. That's how most people categorize or think about reverse mortgages. There's all kinds of stigmas about the bank stealing your home and all that stuff, which doesn't really happen in real life. But, that's something I address in some of my presentations. So what most of you are probably thinking about is, oh, I have a house that's free and clear. I can create an income stream or get some money. And that's fine and that works. But what we want to talk about today is for you as agents, how do you make more money with this product? Okay. So how a reverse mortgage will work for purchases is what we're going to talk about today. And the key thing that all of you should know is if you look at my scenario up top, it says buyer has a cash budget. I'm going to move this thing here. And so what we want to do is we want to show them how much their budget can really, how far it can really go, because with these appreciating prices, it makes it really difficult for the average $200,000 buyer to get anything nice. So the people who have 200 or 250,000 can't really buy that house they want anymore cash. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how this works, and you're all going to get this. And I actually have that link down below too, Chris. Yeah, right there. We put it in there. Is another place that we have it. So it's customized for C21. So if you do choose to print this for people, it'll have the C21 reverse. So it definitely is branded for you guys. Okay. So let's talk about how the reverse mortgage works in a purchase environment and how it can help you. So if I were to buy with a reverse mortgage, and I'm going to use a simple number here so everybody can follow it. Okay. Let's assume that the house purchase price is we'll say 400,000. Okay. And again, it doesn't matter what the purchase price is. It's purely to make everyone understand. There's three ways to buy that house. We can pay cash for that house if we have 400,000 laying around. We can get a regular mortgage, which all of you know what that is, and I do them as well. So if you need any help, you're not working with anybody, feel free to call. Okay. Or we can purchase it with a reverse mortgage. So let's go through each of those options real quick. Cash is easy. We know we pay 400,000. Dick, come on through. It's okay. You're among friends. Great program. Great program. Thanks, Dick. I got an endorsement from Dick Wilson. Doesn't get any better than that. Okay. Dick was one of the people I met with first 6 years ago, just calling, and I was fortunate enough to meet with Dick. And we've done some business together on this. So let's go through the 3 ways to buy a house so that you can clearly see the distinctions. First way is you pay cash. Very simple. You have $400,000. Good for you. You go out and buy that $400,000 cash. There's no principal and interest payment. Everything's wonderful. Everybody loves it because cash, it happens quick. It's great. If people can do that, again, God bless them.
You still have to pay insurance and taxes.
Correct. Thanks, Chris. And regardless of what cash, you're still paying your real estate taxes, your homeowner's insurance, HOA if applicable, condo dues if applicable. You still got them. Okay. So option 2, regular mortgage. We all know how that works. The problem with a regular mortgage, a lot of people don't qualify for it once they reach 62 and above because they're on their pensions or Social Security. But more than that, most people want the security, okay, of not having that mortgage payment because sadly, if it's a married couple or a couple, one of them's going to pass. And when they pass, a lot of times, they lose money. I saw that happen to my mother when my father died. It happens. It's sad. It's real life. But they want that security, knowing, hey, I can stay there forever and never have to worry. But I also don't want a mortgage payment because I'm 68 years old. So those are things that seniors are thinking up here. They may not always come out to you and say, hey, this is my concern. But put yourself in that position if you are maybe over 60 years old, 55 years old. You want a mortgage payment? Chances are no. And number 2, don't you want that security of knowing that you can stay in the house as long as you wish? And again, all of this is in the full training, both for the buyers and for you. Nobody can kick you out of that home. That home can go to zero if the market crashes. It doesn't matter. You get to stay there. Okay. Those are huge benefits. They're in the full training. But again, what I want to do today is I want to show you how to use this tool. I want to show you the benefit of mortgage purchase so that you might have somebody that falls into this. And if you don't have somebody today, just go back and look at some of the people you've dealt with over time, and you might find some people that fit in. And remember, all you need to do is send them to that link that's right here. There it is. Yeah, thanks, Chris. Sarasota MTG/C21 mortgage. That's all you got to do is get them there. Okay. So hopefully you understand the benefit of a reverse mortgage is you only have to bring approximately 50% of the purchase price to the transaction. I have to say it that way because depending on the program you pick, That plays a big role in this. Okay, so we're going to use that 50% number here. Chris, if you would just go to this cell here, I think we used a different factor in there, 55%. Okay, so we're doing a little bit of a, we're going to say 55% versus 50. I'm going to change gears, and you need about 55% of the purchase price of the home, and that's a better number to use. It's a little bit safer. So again, if you had $100,000 home, you need about $55,000 down, and the other $45,000 is the reverse mortgage. I'm going to say that again because a lot of people struggle with this, and I'm doing it at $100,000. We all know there's no $100,000 houses, but we can all do it in our head. If you have a $100,000 home, buyer needs about 55% or $55,000 to buy that home, and that includes their closing costs. Okay, so hopefully that simple concept will start to register in here. Oh, I remember I had this buyer and they didn't have enough money to get what they wanted. They need about 55% down. Okay. Remember, I am always available for questions. If you go to the trainings, you're going to learn this. You're going to hear it over and over. We use a different factor in there of 60%, but it's just concepts. Once you know the concept, everything else will flow easy. Okay. Chris and I have talked about this program a lot. Chris, is there anything else you want me to touch on here? Can we move over to here? Okay. All right. So now, here's your scenario. There's 3 tabs at the bottom of this worksheet that you're all going to get. There's called the cash buyer tab down at the bottom here, Chris, if you don't mind just clicking on that. Then there's the cash to seller tab. And then there's your commission tab. And stuff for you to play with. Okay. So let's go to the cash buyer tab. We're going to show you how this tool can help you. Many of you have had people come to you with a certain amount of cash. Hey, I have 200,000. I have 150. I have 400. Whatever it is, you have people come to you. And of course, most of those people think that the cash in their bank that they want to use is going to be adequate to get the house that they want. We all know with the rising prices, it's probably not the case. So we've got a problem. Let's have a solution. So there's going to be a quiz at the end, and I'm going to arbitrarily pick on people. I'm really not going to do that, so don't worry. But the question I want to ask everyone is, what percent down do people need? Anybody want to put it up? You should be able to do it on your hands. Anybody, what percent down do people need on a reverse mortgage? What's the approximate percent? Anybody? Anybody brave enough? Chris has got it. 55. Okay? 55%. That's my first quiz. All right. So I come to you as a buyer, and I say, Mr. or Mrs. Real Estate Agent, I have $200,000. I want to buy here in Sun City, Apollo Beach, Ruskin, and I want a 2,000 square foot house. And preferably, I would like to have a little water behind the house. Anybody want to throw out a price range for that? It's not 200,000, right? 350, 400. Okay. But now that I'm going to show you how to take that $200,000 buyer and put him into a $360,000 home. Okay. So when you get this worksheet, you can play with it. You're going to input whatever cash position they have. And once you put in that 200,000, the next line down says the estimated home price that they can buy with a reverse mortgage. I can assure you that when you tell them reverse mortgage, you're going to have these horns coming out of your head and people are going to freak out initially. And I don't mean to scare you, but I want to prepare you. People think reverse mortgages are scary because they've learned things that are not true. Now, in fairness, about 5 years ago, they revamped all the guidelines to protect seniors. So the stuff that may have happened 10 and 15 years ago doesn't happen anymore. Okay. And that's a really important thing that often I forget to mention. 10 and 15 years ago, bad stuff could have happened because they didn't have the necessary safety measures and the guidelines for seniors. They do now. So if you remember nothing about this presentation and you present this and the first thing, people say is, oh no, they're bad. The bank steals your home. None of it's true. And all you have to do is say something like, they've really changed the rules in the last 5 years to protect seniors. All you have to do is go out to this link and you'll learn. Just keep an open mind because we might be able to put you in the house you want with your $200,000 cash budget. Now, remember, the biggest benefit to a reverse mortgage is no principal and interest payment. Forget the fact that you can buy a $363,000 home with $200,000. There's no principal interest payment. Okay, that should resonate with a lot of you. So, how many programs do you know in your career where somebody could take $200,000, get a $363,000 home, and never pay full interest payment? Answer, unless you know about this program, there is no. I've been doing this 19 years. There's no mortgages out there that allow you to do this, okay? Except this one. So, Chris, I have $225,000. What can I afford? $409,000. We all know, well, not in this market. It's not. I was going to say, we all know you might want to go to 420, and then you can get to 409. But in this market, you might go to 400 and go to 409 because how crazy everything is. Okay. But all you need to do is punch in their cash budget and it tells you the estimated home price with a reverse mortgage. You can call me at any time. I can pre-qualify these folks if they like this. Okay. That's how to use this. Now, in addition to this, and Chris kind of gave me this idea when we talked, is we put the taxes, the homeowner's insurance, and the HOA costs in this worksheet. So you can just hit the print button and boom, it's there for you. Okay. So this is something you can hand to people. We have the Beggins logo on it. We did everything. So to try to make it, even when you hit the print button, it should print correctly. Everything's perfect. Okay. So, but what you might want to do is show somebody how they can live in a $409,000 house and their monthly obligation, thank you, Chris, is $608 a month, again, based on real estate taxes, homeowners insurance, and HOA. They have to pay that, whether they pay that house in cash. If they live there, that's their expenses, period, the end. There's no way around those, right? So we can preserve, if people have $409,000, we can preserve about half their cash if they want to look at it a different way, okay? And they can still live in that house for $608 a month. Remember, everything in yellow says input here. It's just that simple. And again, if you have a scenario, you can call me. Hey, Tom, I'm using the worksheet. I'm a little confused. We even protected the formulas in there, so you shouldn't be able to inadvertently delete something. Okay, we try to think of everything. But anyway, so Chris, I have $300,000. What kind of house can I afford? And of course, on a $300,000 or a $545,000 house, the taxes and the insurance and the HOAs need to be adjusted. So you put in four numbers. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, 50,000. I'm out. Okay. And again, notice it says annual. So you're putting in the annual taxes, the annual homeowners insurance, the annual HOA. Okay. So, and if for some odd reason there's another fee that is in a particular place, you can just simply add it to one of the other boxes. Okay. Maybe there's a CDD and an HOA. I don't know. Okay. We have them up in Bradenton, Sarasota, a lot of CDDs. Okay. So you can just put it in there. The bottom line is you can now show somebody with $300,000, $545,000 house, live there for $725 a month, and guess what? Never make a principal and interest payment. Okay. See, Tom, how does it work? It sounds too good to be true. It's not too good to be true. They're going to accrue interest on the loan. Okay. It's just that simple. Instead of making a payment, that payment is onto their loan balance. Okay. And that's described in the videos that you have from those links. Okay. So that is example number one. You want to stop and take questions here? Or do you want to go to example two and circle back? Okay. Does anybody want to ask any questions? I thought you were raising your hand. Okay, so you can either unmute yourself and ask the question, or you can chat that into the chat box, a question, and we'd be happy to answer it for you at this point. And then we're going to go to the next tab.
I have a question.
Yeah, I hear somebody. Oh, it's Sadi. How are you? I know that voice.
No, it's Brenda.
Brenda. Okay, there we go. Oh, hey, Brenda. I thought it was Sadi.
Hey, that's okay. I completely understand what you're saying, but they're going to ask me, so this interest that it's accruing over the years, what am I going to do with that? How do you get over that?
Okay. So
Question.
Sure. First of all, we never want to hide anything. We just tell them you can either make a payment or that payment can be added to your loan. And then at the time of sale, basically the lender or the title agent looks and says, how much do you owe on the house? And how much did you sell the house for? What are your closing costs? And the difference goes to them. But they have a choice. They can make a payment or they can have that payment deferred. It's just that simple. And I can tell you from experience that a lot of people in their 60s, they don't want a mortgage payment. They're in a fixed income. But just about anybody could afford to live with a $725 a month expense or nut or whatever you want to call it. Imagine living in a $500,000 house for $725 a month. That's a nice lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. And now let's continue with that same example of the 400,000 and 9 with the 200,000 cash.
Mm-hmm.
If they did want to pay some of the, what would the payment look like at that time?
The payment, their monthly payment or their payment if, I'm not sure what you're asking me.
Well, you already told us what the monthly payment was going to be, the taxes, HOA and all that. But you also said that they have an option of paying mortgage down. What does that look like in numbers in addition to the established amount?
Okay, so I think your is, can they make a payment towards their interest expense on a monthly basis? And if so, what is that? It will depend on their interest rate. Right now, the adjustables are about 3.5%. So I can't, off the top of my figure out, they'd have a $163,000 loan, and then whatever 3.6% is on $163,000 loan. I don't know what that number is off the top of my head, but if anybody wants to take their calculator out and simply take 163,000, multiply it by 3.6% and divide by 12, that would be their interest expense. If they wanted to make that payment, and it's a very good question, Brenda, because people might be in a position where they're still working and they say, you know what, I don't want my loan balance to grow. They can, 475 is the answer to your question, $475 a month on top of the 600. Okay. But people have the ability to make a payment to make sure that loan balance doesn't increase. Okay. So if they said, well, gee, I want to make a payment, they could make it for the first year or 2 years or 3 years or whenever, and then stop. So I'm hoping that answers the question. If not, you know, hit me with it again and I'll be happy to.
That did.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have questions? And don't feel bad because this stuff is new to a lot of people. And even though I've been teaching it 7 years, most people don't know it exists. And a lot of people are just afraid of it, which is a huge niche for anybody who's not afraid of it.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Dale here in South Tampa. I'm trying to, I have some folks that I'm trying to get from not Naples, but some outside suburbia in South Florida to Tampa. But I'm trying to figure out, the gentleman is a little resistant on anything other than him having the cash out of the old home to move forward. Is there any, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. I guess if they had that home where they live and it's paid for, but I guess they would still need X amount of cash on the house here to be able to do this reverse loan. I'm just trying to think out of the box.
You're absolutely right, Dale. They need money to come to the transaction with. The next tab we go through is going to talk about that a little bit, but you absolutely have to have the money in hand to make this work.
Okay.
About 55%. You're more than welcome. Somebody, Elizabeth has a question. Is the interest rate fixed or variable? They have different programs, and it would depend on the individual borrower what they're most comfortable with. And that's why sometimes that 55%, it can be, 48%, or it could be 57% down. It all depends on the program they pick, and it depends on their age. Okay. The one thing I'll throw out here is credit is really important, not the credit score, the credit history. And that's one of those changes they put in a number of years ago because some people, sadly, they have had issues. I'm going to put it that way, where they had collections and they had things that, bad things happen to good people. So the credit history is important, not the credit score. I'm doing a loan for a guy in Bradenton right now. His credit scores are in the 500s. Not a problem. We're doing the loan. Okay. So but again, it's a different situation. So we have to deal in generalities for purposes of this training. And then if you have someone who's interested, just put them in touch with me and I'll make sure that everything looks according to, goes according to plan. Okay. Big question. What happens when the owners are deceased? Do the heirs get the balance? Answer, Helen, yes, absolutely. So think of, how do I say this? If you have a loan today and you die today, what happens to that house today? If you died and you had your son or your daughter or your niece, your nephew was willed that home, it becomes their home either through probate or some other means, however you have it. I'm not an expert there. But when it is their home in their name, because you left it to them, they can either refinance out of the reverse mortgage and own the home, or they can sell the home, hire one of the agents, hire you, Helen, to sell the home business as usual. Okay? The most common question it's answered, and again, I have FAQs. I've got everything you guys can think of. Just let me know what you need and I'll get it to you. The most common question is, what happens at the time of sale? Will my heirs be stuck if my house is upside down? And the answer is no. Okay, that's why you pay FHA insurance on this loan. It's an insured loan. Nobody gets left holding the bag. In other words, the shortfall. There's no deficiency judgment per se that somebody's writing a check. That's the most common concern people have. It doesn't exist. That's why you pay FHA insurance on this loan, is to protect you and your heirs. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Helen. And you know how to find me if you need me, since our offices are very close. Anybody else? Okay, so now let's talk about everybody's favorite subject other than making money as a real estate agent. How do we get more listings? As a mortgage guy, believe it or not, I know that because I've heard it a few times. You could scroll up there, Chris. Oh, before we show you one other thing, if you could just flip back to the cash buyer tab. So we showed you what a $200,000 deposit could do. In other words, $200,000 can buy you a $363,000 house, roughly. Okay. What happens if you have somebody who's looking at a $363,000 house? How much money do they need? Answer's right on the screen. It's $200,000. Okay, so I want you to be able to see this both ways. Okay, if somebody's looking at a $400,000 house, how much do they need? Well, 55%, right? So, Chris, if you could just go play with the 200,000 and make it 220, let's just see what it looks like. Because I just want to give you this example as well. Perfect. I guessed. I didn't know that. If somebody wants a $400,000 house, they need $220,000. Everybody see that? If they have $220,000, they can buy a $400,000 house. There is a cap, but we don't need to worry about it. It says cap on the loan amount, and we've got programs that go up to 4 million. So I'm not, anybody can exceed 4 million, please let me know. But yeah, you should be fine with the caps. All right. So I just want to show you both ways. If you have the cash, this is what you can buy. And if you want to buy this, this is how much cash you need. Hopefully that's clear. Okay. Remember, I'm here for questions. I don't expect you guys to remember all this. Okay. You can go to next. Thank you, Chris. Okay. Now this one is a little complex. There's a lot of money here for people who want to work this one. Okay. So I got my title. I got my closing costs on the right there. We've tried to make this as close as possible. We don't have all the exact figures, but again, if you present this, everything we do in our world is estimates, but they should be close. We've done it a few times. Okay. In my case, I've done it lots of times. So here is your scenario. A potential client has a $500,000 home, which is too big for them, or they just wish they had a smaller home or more disposable cash. There's a whole bunch of reasons that people may want out of that home. Now, sadly, sometimes that's because their spouse died. They can't, guys die first. I could make a joke about that, but then I might get beat up. So I won't do that. Should I make the joke, Phil, that the women kill us? Oh, there goes all my business. Okay, I already did. I know. That's just for fun. I'm only kidding. So we got to have a little bit of fun here. But anyway, just a little bit. I know none of you women will ever call me now, but I'm joking. All right. So, but if I see so many widows, which is the sad part, is I deal with so many more widows than I do with widowers. And that's why I'm kind of saying that usually the men pass first. So somebody could pass, their husband passes, and the wife is left in this house, and I don't want this big house, or, I can't handle the upkeep. There's a million reasons people want to get out of their houses and have more money in their bank. Okay. So let's go through this. Potential client is a $500,000 home. It's too big. It's for whatever reason. They may want to get out. Now, I will bet you, if you haven't seen this training before, none of you know you can do this. Okay. So let's go through the calculator, and I learn best with numbers. So let's go through them. So we have a $500,000 house. Chris has that right there, showing it right there. You're good, Chris. Okay. In some cases, there will be a lien or a mortgage on that house. And in some cases, there won't. So let's do it easy, Chris, if you don't mind. say that there's no lien on the home. Doesn't matter if there is or there isn't. It just matters what the numbers are. Okay. So they have a $500,000 home. And so they're going to, at home, they're going to have some closing costs. They're going to have some realtor commissions and things of that nature. Now, the closing costs are our best guess of transfer taxes and title costs, $6,000. Okay. We did that just based on calculations. Again, it's just designed to be close. We're not title agents. We're not doing the net sheet, but we want to give people an example or at least some reasonable expectation of what can happen. Okay. So we have $6,000 in title costs and closing costs. Assuming we have 6% real estate commissions, we have $30,000 in fees, right? Now, remember, you have some type of leverage if they're buying, you will discount one side or the other side. That's up to you and your bosses, okay? But we put it in there just so you have the ability to flex that real estate commission if that's acceptable to you guys, okay? Or your bosses, however it works here, all right? Now, let's just assume it's 6%. The approximate net proceeds is $464,000. Simple math, 500,000 less 36. Okay. So now I walk out of the closing, $64,000. That's a nice day, but I need to buy something. Okay. So now we have to figure out how to buy something. Well, you know how to use the reverse mortgage purchase already. Remember from the first slide, if somebody has $464,000, what size house could they buy? Not that they would do this, Chris, but just flip over to the cash buyer tab again. Put in 464 up there. Not that anybody do this, but this is just to illustrate a point. They could literally buy an $843,000 house. They're not going to do that, but again, just to illustrate the point. All right, just go to cash to sell. So they have $464,000 approximate net proceeds post closing. They want to buy a house. Well, they're not going to buy a $500,000 house. They may not buy a $400,000 house. Maybe they find something for Chris. You're the realtor. Find something smaller, nicer. What kind of price range? 300 it is. New home purchase is 300. And notice their cash requirement, 180. Okay. And that is 60%. We use in that example. You can see it up there, Chris, is a 60% versus 55. And again, real conservative. Okay. The remaining cash to these folks is $154,000. Now, I want everybody to stop for a second and think about this. 70 years old, you're sitting on all this equity. And now a realtor comes to you and says, hey, you're in a bigger house, whatever the situation is, maybe you know them, maybe you've worked with them before, and says, if I could put $280,000 in your pocket, because you've already done all this math for them, put you in a home where you still have no mortgage, something smaller, easier to manage, would that be something that is worth discussing? The first question is, do that. You can't do that. Okay? Let me sit down with you and I'll show you. All of these numbers can be derived through Remind, right, Chris? Okay. You guys know the market value of the house. So then the question is, what are they out? Go to Remind, you find out. Okay. You can do this before you ever talk to someone. Okay. So this is kind of a backdoor approach that you could literally go to somebody that either you work with, you want to do a cold call to, a flyer, whatever, and say, if we do this, could we sit down and discuss it? They're going to say yes, no, or how do you do it? Okay. How do you do it? Let me show you. You can print this out for them. Okay. And the same thing is below with the new house. You just put in the numbers for the new house. Okay. $3,600 for taxes and your homeowner's insurance and your HOA if applicable. And again, you guys know those numbers because this is what you do for a living. You show them, hey, you're paying this amount now in your taxes or your insurance, your HOA. So it's going to be similar in this house, but you're going to have $284,000 in the bank. Is that something that would be of interest to you? Okay. And that to me is a way to get a listing and then to get a sale on top of it. It's a year, just one a year, because we want to be realistic. Let's see what the commissions look like, Chris. Okay. Sale of current home. Again, that's between you and your bosses, whatever you're allowed to do. But if you sell their current home with a 2% commission or 2% commission rate, that's $10,000. And the purchase on the other side, okay, is 3%. Okay. So you can see before you're split here, if you did one of these a year, it could be a nice paycheck for you. Okay. And you have complete flexibility here to play with the numbers, work with your bosses on how to do this stuff or your managers, however it works here. It's just a tool. Okay. It's not me telling you what you should or shouldn't do. It's just a tool. So that's a nice day. And if you go back to that cash to seller tab, Chris, you could go change these numbers. If let's just do another example, Chris. Somebody has a $400,000 home. They have a $75,000 mortgage, Chris. Okay. And let's just say they're going to purchase the same $300,000 home, because we know there's not too much under 300 these days, right? They can still put $115,000 into their pocket, live mortgage free for the rest of their life. In other words, principal and interest. Have $115,000 in their pocket. And what does that equate to, Chris, in commissions for anybody who's looking to make a little more money? Just click on that commissions tab here. And you have $21,000 before your applicable splits, or you do it. Okay. Not a bad day. I always tell people, if I was a real estate agent, this is where I'd be focused. I would be getting, and if you double side one of them, then it even gets crazier. But let's talk like realistically, okay? But if you sell the current home and double sided because you're doing an open house, that's really a debt. But I think you guys can see the power of this. There's a lot of money here. People don't know you can do this. So now all of you know. The question is, okay, anybody have questions? I threw a lot at you today. Who's going to be brave enough to ask a question in front of how many people? 32 participants. Type it in. I won't mention your name. Anybody? No questions?
I have another one.
Sure.
So let's say that it all works out perfectly. I get it so far. And this person is 55 and they live to be 100. That's still good, just paying the normal taxes?
Yes. This is the beauty of the reverse mortgage. It's called a non-recourse loan. I started teaching you a number of years ago. I never forget this. I sat down with a local agent here, and he had a big team. He was a big producer, and he was dead set how wrong I was. I said, go look up what non-recourse loan means. He did, and then he said, okay, I get it. Okay, so it is a non-recourse loan, which means the only recourse is against the property. So if the property is upside down, oh, well, that's why FHA insurance exists, okay? And that's why you don't have a problem. And you can look up on Google it, non-recourse loan, Google reverse mortgages. You're all going to find out what that is. Okay. You're more than welcome, Brenda. Anybody else? I know there's a lot here. I am here if you have questions. I'm here to do this worksheet with you. Naturally, I can't tell you what somebody's house is worth. You can tell me what their house is worth. Remind can tell you what the lien on their house is, right? All of this data is there. It's just a matter of who wants to get it, make the contact, and make some more money. Any other questions? Okay, here's my quiz. How do you get this information? How do you explain a reverse mortgage to your buyer? Anybody? Chris is giving everybody the answer. Okay. That's how you explain reverse to your buyer. You don't need to explain them. It's right there for you. You have to get in there, and then my information and Dell, my partner's information, is there. Okay? That's the only thing you... Thanks, Jimmy. Jimmy's helping too. He's got the line through it. Okay? And I would encourage all of you to go to that link, see what the buyer's going to see, right? Okay, so the other link for you guys, instead of C21 reverse, it's the word realtor. Oh, look, he's really good. It is the word realtor. And again, you're going to get this. Jimmy or Chris are going to send it out to you guys. Yes, yes. That website will get you to all of the techniques we talked about today. It'll explain everything in detail to you. And whatever you don't get, don't worry. I'm just a phone call away. Okay? Anybody else questions? I know it's almost lunchtime. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. Sure.
So just a little thought process too. So most of our buyers are having struggles finding a home in their price point. Most of our sellers, if I sell my home, what do I do next? Where do I go? That's if because they know they're going to sell my home, put some equity in my pocket, go buy a new home, and they're going to have to pay more for that home. Well, a lot of the people who are 55 and older may want to downsize. And if they want to downsize out of their home, I can't sell my home and put all this equity. I'm going to go downsize. I'm going to pay the same amount cash for a smaller home. I don't want to do that. I don't want to pay full price for a smaller home when I can put all this equity in my pocket. This is an option for them to sell their $500,000 home, or let's say it's a $400,000 home, sell it, put some money in their pocket, downsize, buy a $400,000 home and keep more of that equity in their pocket because they use the reverse mortgage purchase. So now you have an opportunity to talk to these sellers who are afraid to sell a home right now, because if they sell their home, I can buy a smaller home, but it's going to cost me the same amount. I'm just trading. Okay, well, that might be good enough for some people. What if I can show you how you can trade down from the house that you're in to a house that's more manageable, trade down to it, but keep money in your pocket? So in a scenario like that, 55% of $400,000, $220,000, they can keep $180,000 in their pocket and downsize, even if they paid the same amount of what they have for their larger home and buying a smaller home. And that's how you can leverage this for listings. Leverage it to talk to people about the power here that you can keep cash in your pocket, buy a home that's more suitable for you, and get out of the problem that you're in right now, if it's a situation or a problem that they're in. So that's where the leveraging comes in. That's where you've got a little bit more power to talk about that. That's where you have people that might be moving from other states. There you go. It's people that are moving from other states down into this area who have cash or calling you, I want to pay cash. Well, that's great. I understand that. But if you're afraid of the way the market is and equity, and you're going to buy a home, why don't I put you in touch with my guy talk about a reverse mortgage? You can use less of that cash and more of a home. And quite frankly, with the FHA mortgage insurance that's on that, your equity position is pretty well protected up until the day you pass, because even if you're underwater, you're not going to owe anything because the insurance is going to cover that, even if it goes underwater and it goes downside up. So it's a good option for people to consider. And if you can't put all of that together yourself, you've got links here. You've got plenty of links. You have a resource here that you can call and get your people connected with them either way. You know, I understand that reverse mortgages had this bad name and people used to all be saying all these things, but I was just on a class the other day and he clarified all of that. I don't know any of that. I sell homes. Why don't you at least give them a call to see if it's something that'll work out for you? Isn't it worth a short 5 to 10 minute conversation to see if you can keep an extra $200,000 in your pocket and live comfortably, move to Florida, have all the things that you needed and keep some cash in your pocket with really not much of a downside, especially if you never plan to move out of that home? There's really no downside there. So something to consider, a way that you can leverage those opportunities. Did anybody have any other questions before we wrap up? And we'll get you on out of there. We'll send out this recording whenever it gets rendered down, and then we will send out the other links that are there so you can take a look. And if you have any other further questions, Tom's information is in the chat. It's going to be on this form when we send it out. He is an excellent resource, and as you can tell, the guy knows what he's talking about. So that being said, you guys have a great afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in.